a lot of press. Very lot of press. I'm shocked. It is a great pleasure to welcome President Erdogan for his first visit to the White House in years. The American and Turkish peoples have been friends and allies for many, many decades. Turkey was a pillar in the Cold War against communism. It was a bastion against Soviet expansion, and Turkish courage in war is legendary. That is so true. Turkish soldiers fought bravely alongside of American soldiers in the Korean War, and we haven't forgotten what they did. In some ways, when we looked at their great bravery in the fight of Korea and in Korea, it was just something that our soldiers and our great generals still remember. Supreme Commander General Douglas MacArthur singled out and praised the exemplary valor of the Turkish soldier, said some of the great soldiers of the world. Today we face a new enemy in the fight against terrorism, and again we seek to face this threat together. The Turkish people have faced horrible terrorist attacks in recent years and even recently. We offer our compassion to the victims, and we offer our support to the Turkish nation. We support Turkey in the first fight against terror and terror groups like ISIS and the PKK, and ensure they have no safe quarter, the terror groups. We also appreciate Turkey's leadership in seeking an end to the horrific killing in Syria. The Syrian civil war shocks the conscience of the whole world, and all you have to do is look on the front page of the papers today and you'll see exactly what we're talking about. We also support any effort that can be used to reduce the violence in Syria and create the conditions for a peaceful resolution. President Erdogan and I are also discussing the need to reinvigorate our trade and commercial ties. These are areas where we can build our relationship that will benefit both of our countries. Military equipment was ordered by Turkey and the president, and we've made sure that it gets there quickly. I look forward to working together with President Erdogan on achieving peace and security in the Middle East, on confronting the shared threats, and on working toward a future of dignity and safety for all of our people. Mr. President, thank you for visiting our country and joining us today at the White House. It is a great honor to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Sayın Başkan, değerli dostum, değerli basın mensupları, sizleri en kalbi duygularımla, saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Mr. President, my dear friend, distinguished members of the press, at the outset I'd like to wholeheartedly salute you all.
Öncelikle Amerika Birleşik Devletleri Başkanı Sayın Trump'a ve ekibine şahsım ve heyetime gösterdikleri ilgiden dolayı şahsım, milletim adına şükranlarımı ifade ediyorum.
And I would like to take this August opportunity to thank President Trump and his team for the generous hospitality they have shown us upon arrival, not only to my personal self, but to the entire members of my delegation on behalf of the entire Turkish nation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Bir kez daha huzurlarınızda Sayın Trump'ı seçimlerde elde ettiği tarihi zafer için kutluyorum.
And once again, in your presence, I would like to congratulate President Trump for the legendary triumph that he has garnered in the aftermath of the elections.
Sayın Başkan'la az önce ikili bir görüşme gerçekleştirdik.
Quite recently, we've had bilateral discussions with President Trump.
Köklü geçmişe dayanan ve stratejik ortaklık düzeyine erişmiş olan Türkiye-Amerika Birleşik Devletleri ilişkilerinin mevcut durumunu ele aldık.
And we've had the opportunity to focus on the outstanding relations between Turkey and the United States that date back a long time in history, which are very well rooted and which are quite happily reached a level of strategic partnership.
Türkiye ile Amerika arasındaki bağlar demokratik değerler ve müşterek menfaatler temelinde gelişmiştir.
The relations between Turkey and the United States have been erected upon common democratic values and common interests.
Aramızdaki ilişkileri güçlü tutmamız, karşılıklı çıkarlarımız yanında küresel barış ve istikrar için de önemlidir.
Keeping our outstanding relations stronger than ever will be very important, not only for our common interests, but also stability of the globe and peace around the world.
Bölgemizin içinden geçtiği bu çalkantılı dönemde özellikle de iki ülkenin göstereceği yakın işbirliği her zamankinden çok daha büyük önem kazanmıştır.
The close cooperation that the both of the countries shall demonstrate, especially in the region which is currently in turmoil, will be very important for the rest of the world.
Esasen Amerika ile Birleşmiş Milletler, NATO ve G20 gibi kilit kuruluşlar içinde zaten yakın işbirliği içindeyiz.
And primarily we are alongside by each other as Turkey and the United States under the roof of the United Nations, NATO and the G20.
Önümüzdeki süreçte bu platformlar başta olmak üzere her alanda diyalog ve dayanışmamızı daha da artırmanın kararındayız.
We have been enjoying a close cooperation in all of these platforms, in all of these fora around the world, and in the future to come, we are going to focus on making sure that we're going to expand our close cooperation and build on the outstanding dialogue that we enjoy.
Doğrusu ben bu ziyaretimizi bu bakımdan tarihi bir dönüm noktası teşkil edeceğine inanıyorum.
We are determined to expand our relations, and I believe my current official visit to the United States will mark a historical turn of tide.
Gerek ikili görüşmemiz, gerek biraz sonra yapacağımız heyetler arası görüşmenin geleceğimize yönelik çok daha büyük kazanımlar elde edeceğimize fırsat tanıyacağına inanıyorum.
Whether it be throughout our bilateral discussions, whether it be the discussions that we shall have between the delegations, I think we are going to enjoy some further gains in terms of the future of our relations.
Ekonomi, ticaret, yatırım, enerji ve savunma sanayi alanlarında işbirliğimizi artırma konusunda hemfikiriz.
We seem to agree on expanding our relations in the field of economy, trade, reciprocal investments, energy and defense industry.
DAEŞ başta olmak üzere bölgemizdeki tüm terör örgütlerine karşı müşterek bir dayanışma ortaya koymamız büyük önem ifade etmektedir.
It is going to be very important for us to forge a close solidarity and cooperation in the field of fighting terrorism, primarily with Daesh and all the other terrorist organizations in the region.
Ortak geleceğimizi tehdit eden terör örgütlerine karşı ayrım yapmadan mücadele etmekte kararlıyız.
And we are committed to fighting all forms of terrorism without any discrimination whatsoever that impose a clear and a present threat upon our future.
Bölgemizin geleceğinde terör örgütlerine yer yoktur.
There is no place for the terrorist organizations in the future of our region.
Özellikle YPG, PYD terör örgütünün hangi ülke tarafından olursa olsun muhatap olarak alınması bu konuda küresel düzeyde varılan mutabakata kesinlikle uygun değildir.
Taking YPG and PYD in the region, taking them into consideration in the region will never be accepted, and it is going to be against a global agreement that we have reached.
Aynı şekilde terör örgütlerinin faaliyetlerini bahane ederek bölgenin inanç ve etnik yapısını değiştirmek isteyenlere de izin vermemeliyiz.
And we should never allow those groups to manipulate the religious structure and the ethnic structure of the region, making terrorism as a pretext or an excuse.
Suriye, Irak, Yemen ve Libya'daki kaosu fırsata çevirmek isteyenler eninde sonunda kaybedeceklerdir.
Those who are willing to turn the chaos in Syria, Iraq, Yemen and Libya are bound to lose eventually.
İki müttefikin dayanışma ve yakın işbirliği eli kanlı cinayet şebekelerini bertaraf etmek için kafidir.
They will never be able to turn that chaos in that part of the world into an opportunity, and the terrorist organizations with blood in their hands are bound to fail.
Daha önce de ifade ettiğim gibi Sayın Başkan'a 15 Temmuz darbe girişiminin faili FETÖ terör örgütü konusundaki beklentilerimizi de açıkça ifade edeceğim.
And as I have previously done so, I have been very frankly communicating our expectations with regard to the Fethullahist terrorist organization, which we have notified our friends of their involvement in the failed coup of July the 15th in Turkey.
Suriye ve Irak'ta atabileceğimiz ortak adımları değerlendirdik.
And we have taken into consideration the joint steps that we can take forward in Syria and Iraq.
Tabii Sayın Trump'ın seçim zaferi Türkiye'nin de içinde bulunduğu bölgede yeni beklentilerin doğmasına, umutların filizlenmesine yol açmıştır.
Of course, President Trump's recent election victory has led to the awakening of a new set of aspirations and expectations and hopes in our region.
Biz yeni ABD yönetiminin bu umutları boşa çıkarmayacağına inanıyoruz.
And we know that by the help of the new US administration, these hopes will not be lost in vain.
Bilhassa Suriye rejiminin son kimyasal saldırısı sonrası takınılan kararlı tutumu oldukça yerinde buluyoruz.
And we find that it was the most necessary answer to be given to the Syrian regime, especially in the aftermath of the recent chemical attacks that took place.
Terör örgütleriyle ilkeli ve kararlı mücadele konusunda geçmişte yaşanan hataları telafi edecek adımların devamının geleceğini ümit ediyoruz.
And we know that in terms of keeping up with the principle and committed fight against the terrorist organizations all around the world, we will not repeat the mistakes of the past and we will continue down this path together.
Bölgesel istikrar ve güvenliğin temininde Türkiye, Amerika Birleşik Devletleri işbirliği çok önemlidir.
In the restoration and the establishment of stability and security of the region in question, the alliance and the partnership and cooperation between the United States and Turkey is of vital importance.
Sayın Trump ile istişarelerimizi yoğunlaştırma, işbirliğimizi bundan sonra da kararlı bir şekilde devam ettirmenin inanıyorum ki kararlılığı içindeyiz.
I hope and pray that both of us will be committed to expanding further our cooperation in the future, along with consulting each other more frequently.
Bugün temelleri atılan yeni dönemin ülkelerimiz açısından hayırlara vesile olmasını diliyorum.
We are laying the foundation of a new era between the two countries in terms of our relations. I hope and pray that this new administration will bring forth auspicious results for the relations.
Sayın Başkan'a nazik daveti ve konukseverliği için teşekkür ediyorum. Kendilerini de en yakın zamanda ailesiyle birlikte ülkemde ağırlamaktan memnuniyet duyacağımı ifade etmek istiyorum.
And I would like to thank President Trump for his very kind and cordial invitation, and I'm looking forward to hosting him in Turkey along with his entire family.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. We're going to go to meetings now. Well, we had a very, very successful meeting with the foreign minister of Russia. Our fight is against ISIS. As General McMaster said, I thought he said, and I know he feels, that we had actually a great meeting with the foreign minister. So we're going to have a lot of great success over the next coming years, and we want to get as many to help fight terrorism as possible. And that's one of the beautiful things that's happening with Turkey. The relationship that we have together will be unbeatable. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. We're going to meetings right now. Thank you.
That was the press appearance. Hello, that was the press appearance with President Trump and President Erdogan of Turkey. There were a bunch of questions being shouted at the end from the press about, presumably all about the story about the meeting with Russia and what what information President Trump gave to them. The one thing President Trump said is he said that he had a very successful meeting with the foreign minister of Russia, and they wanted to get as many countries to help fight terrorism as possible, but didn't answer any more questions. The rest of the appearance was pretty much your standard diplomatic, we want to work together kind of appearance. No other questions taken. So we want to come on the air after both. If you have any comments about what's been going on today, we'd like to take them. You can either reach out at @Lookner on Twitter, @LOOKNER, or email me, steve.lookner@rsbn.tv. But there's another little thing that we wanted to bring up with you. And so we were thinking here at Right Side, we've been talking about this for a while, but it's getting closer, so we're thinking of doing this. We want to get your feedback. We're thinking of covering the Sturgis motorcycle rally in August in South Dakota. So this is this giant motorcycle festival thing. I don't pretend to be an expert on it. I know it exists and I've read a little about it. And I think in recent years they've had over like 500,000 people go, so it's very possible. And it's something that we think Americans are interested in, a lot of Americans. And it's really not covered generally, and we thought it'd be really fun to go and just do a couple days of live streaming there and just let people see what's going on there. Kind of what we do with President Trump rallies, where we just go and just stream and interview whoever we see and just show you the sights and sounds. So one question we had is that something right side viewers would be interested in? And another issue is going to be just being able to pay for it, because as you know, we don't have lots of money around here. That's why we bother you asking for donations. So one thing is, if you think that's something you'd like to see us do and you think people would be interested in it, definitely please let us know. You can either message me or write to us at feedback@rsbn.tv, or write to me on Twitter or email me. But also, if it's something you'd be willing to support, if we have enough money to go, I think we'll definitely go. You feel free, if you'd like, to send over the next month or so any donation that you want to go specifically to Sturgis. If you donate and you say, this is for Sturgis, we will only put that money toward a Sturgis trip. And really, we're not talking about going fancy. We're talking about sending a couple people there, cheap hotel. I don't even know if we might even rent a car. It's so far away, but it's like flights are so expensive. So we drove to the Trump rally in Pennsylvania from Alabama a couple weeks ago because it was much cheaper than flying. So we do things on the cheap here. So we're just looking for to get enough to allow us to go to the rally. And we do think not only would it be a cool thing for our current viewers, but we actually think this might help grow Right Side, because I could see a world in which people find this coverage online who haven't watched Right Side before because they want to see some coverage about Sturgis, and then they see, and then they look at Right Side's YouTube page and they say, oh, that looks like a cool channel I want to subscribe to. So it is something we think would be a neat thing to do, and potentially something that could help grow Right Side, and certainly a fun thing for you, the viewers, and fun for us to do. So because it would be fun for you. So that's just something we're continuing. We're contemplating doing. We want to throw out there. So if it's something you think you'd be interested in seeing, let us know. And feel free, if you'd like to donate at some point, and mark your donation for Sturgis. You can either go to rsbn.tv/donate, or you could go to the YouTube chat room. You can click on the $ at the bottom of the chat room and donate that way. And I hope we're able to do it. I think it'd be something different, and it's the kind of event that lots of Americans love and are really interested in, but the mainstream media basically won't cover it, and if they do, they'll cover it very little. And it feels like it's an event that deserves more coverage, and we'd be happy to give it that coverage. So we're considering it. Wanted to let you know about that. There are a couple other things I want to talk about here. Kind of a random stream today because, Sean Spicer's not doing a press briefing today. So this is like in place of the pre-show and post-show. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay. So, I also wanted to report this story came out, kind of an odd story. So there have been rumors floating around about, will President Trump make some kind of change in his administration? In the White House, like in the press staff there, especially. And this story just got published this morning by the Mercury News, which I think might be, is it Oakland? Is it San Francisco? I believe it's the Bay Area. But Mercury News, the story is exclusive. Kimberly Guilfoyle says she's talking with Trump administration about press secretary job. Now, the headline in theory might be seen as a little misleading. It says that Kimberly Guilfoyle said in an exclusive interview with the Bay Area News Group Monday night, she's in conversations with the Trump administration about becoming White House press secretary. Well, and then it says, she said the idea of her taking that job or another press role in the White House has been raised by a number of people in the Trump administration, although she's declined to go into specifics. So it seems like this might have been a very casual mention, like she said something to the Bay Area News Group, something like, yeah, I've been talking to the press office about doing something for them. Who knows, maybe it's press secretary or something else. And then they report it like this, and then it's reported like this, and it looks like she just said, like, oh, they're talking to me about being press secretary, they want to hire me, which he very well might not have said. But a potential problem comes up here, which I saw some people on Twitter mention. I'll give Maggie Haberman credit. Normally, I can't stand what she does because it's really biased, but she did make the point that if you give an interview like this and you talk about this, that might make the Trump administration and President Trump not want to hire you. So if this was actually true and they were talking to her, perhaps this story coming out will affect that. But just wanted to report that. Oh yeah, and so Christine writes in, are you opening phone lines? Sturgis was my idea. Yeah, no, LOL. I have some comments to help with this pitch. Yeah, so Christine, I know you've written before, and you said, I think you said something about wanting to help us out at Sturgis, and I actually talked to people, to Jake. I remember mentioning that yesterday in the office that you had sent us some message, I thought. So, yeah, it's something we're definitely considering doing. But just so you know, Christine, we didn't steal your idea. We would not do that here and then not give you credit for it. We have been talking about Sturgis, I think, since December. Because I started working here in December, and we started throwing around ideas of things we might want to cover. And Sturgis had been mentioned a bunch of times. So, Christine, we will be in touch with you about that. But I think it'd be a neat thing to do. We just got to see if we can make it happen. You know, it's not cheap to send a couple people there for 3 days or whatever. So, but we'd really like to do it. So we're looking into it. I want to read, Andrew Silva says Mercury News is a San Jose, California newspaper. Thank you, Andrew. And somebody sent a comment before I hadn't gotten to, I want to read. Carol Grant writes in, first and foremost, this is about the Trump-Russia Oval Office story. Carol Grant writes in, first and foremost, whatever was discussed in that Oval Office setting should not have been put out into the public domain. If the National Security Advisor, Secretary of State, and other top officials present say what was discussed was wholly appropriate, then that should be it. CNN and Washington Post are both highly biased, partisan, and disrespectful to candidate Trump and to President Trump. Find the leaks, seal them, can the press briefings, because they have turned into a circus set of a press briefing, and give the press handouts and only put forth major news conferences. See how they like that. It's getting ridiculous, bordering on treasonous. Well, maybe not treasonous, but fully undermining. Thank you, Carol Grant, for writing in. So I do, one point you make, Carol Grant, which I want to repeat, is I do think it does carry some weight when McMaster and Tillerson, the National Security Advisor and Secretary of State, both come out and say what we think he said was wholly appropriate. Now, it's still, what we still have is we have different testimony here, because we have them saying that and we have other people saying, my point from earlier was that there might be a disagreement here, not about what was said, but about the appropriateness of what was said. So maybe some in the intelligence community think, well, if you say we got this information from country X, that's a big deal. It sounds like if that was said, indeed, General McMaster and Secretary of State Tillerson don't think it's a big deal. So hard to say, did the Washington Post talk to several sources which said, look, this is a really big deal that this information got out there, and it could lead to compromising of the source. But what you don't know, even if they were giving their genuine opinion, do those sources represent the general opinion of the intelligence community? Or did they say, talk to two sources who are the intelligence community? There's a world in which they could have talked to two sources who both worked under Obama and they don't really like Trump, and also they think that this information can compromise a source. But maybe if you surveyed the intelligence community, a lot of people would say, no, it's okay to give that information out, or it's not going to compromise a source. Don't know. So that's a tough thing when you're dealing with unnamed sources from the intelligence community and you're not sure whether they represent the intelligence community in general. So there are these. It certainly raises a question about the story that General McMaster and Secretary of State Tillerson would say they thought it was entirely appropriate, but there's a lot we don't know. So, all right, I just want to see if there's anything else that came up. So I think that's going to be our stream for today. Let me just make sure you didn't send us in messages. Send in any more messages that I ignored. Oh, we got a message here from Phil. Phil says, when is Sturgis? How much is the need or goal? Phil is one of our moderators at rsbn.tv, by the way. When is Sturgis? How much is the need or goal in terms of dollars? How do we designate dollars to go to Sturgis? Let all you interview, At Sturgis, no, we only survive on donations. Thanks for the new thread on RSBN TV. Appreciate you and the SEALs. Keep up the good work. Phil A., moderator at RSBN TV. Thanks for the question, Phil. So, Phil, first of all, when is Sturgis? So it's in August of this year. I want to say it is, I can tell you the dates, from the 4th to the 13th of 2017. We would not go for all 10 days. What we would do is, I think we would do some research and try to find, say, the 2 or 3 days when the most is going on at a central location. It won't be easy, obviously, for us to go and cover some 5-day bike ride, given if that's one of the events. What we'll try to do is cover events that are more centrally located so we can cover as much as possible without running around, on long bike rides, trying to shoot them with our phones. Although maybe we do a little of that. So it would be sometime in August for a couple days. In terms of how much it would cost, I was very informally talking to Joe about this, Joe Seals, just before we came on the air. We haven't put a real number. We'd have to sit down and figure it out. We had talked about, well, if we had a couple thousand, that would probably cover it, because that would cover getting us there and kind of expenses. So I don't want to say that's an exact number, but if I had to guess, if we sent 2 or 3 people for several days, a couple thousand in that realm seems like a rough number. Jake, I don't know if you very well might not have anything to add here, but do you think I'm being crazy, Jake, in saying a couple thousand is roughly around what it might take to send people to Sturgis and cover it? Jake, I put Jake on the spot, and Jake's not going to say, and I think that's a perfectly good answer. So that's my thought. I'll try to get back to you with an exact number, but that I think is given what it's cost before to go cover these things, that would be a reasonable range of how much it might cost. And in terms of if people want to donate for Sturgis and they want to designate it, so for example, if you donated at rsbn.tv/donate. I think when you donate at rsbn.tv/donate, you are allowed to send a message in with your donation. I know you are, because I've seen donations where people wrote stuff. So all you would do is go to rsbn.tv/donate, and you'd make a donation, and then in your message you'd say, hey, this donation is meant for Sturgis. Also, another thing you could do is if you donate in the chat room, you could just say, when you donate, you can put a note on your donation and say, this is for Sturgis. It's probably easier to do it in rsbn.tv/donate, because in the chat room, you donate, your note appears and then it goes away. I don't know if we end up, maybe we end up finding, we can find your note later in the YouTube system. I will also say, which as we've said before, I think we get 70% of YouTube donations, then more than 90% of the rsbn.tv/donate donations, which are PayPal. So if you want your money to go to Sturgis and you want more of it to go to us, you could do it on rsbn.tv/donate. I'm sorry? Jake? Oh, and if you mail to us a check, we get 100% of it. So you can, and the mailing address is at rsbn.tv under the Contact Us page. So that's also an option if you want to mail us a check. And you could just write on the check for Sturgis. So those are all different ways that you could give money to help us cover Sturgis. And we really would like to cover it. And it's something we've talked about for months. Since I've been here, we've talked about doing it. But since it's getting sort of closer, we're like, we got to figure out if we're doing this or not. And again, we do think it could help the network as well. That would be, in a perfect world, and this is, Phil, you said something about this too. You said, hey, maybe we tell people when we're covering Sturgis that we let people know we only survive on donations. When we cover the President Trump's rallies, we get a lot of new viewers, and a lot of people who've never donated before donate because they see what we're doing for the first time, and they say, yes, I want that to be on the air. And what we hope would happen if we covered Sturgis is that we get new viewers who'd never watched us before. I know a lot of bikers love Right Side Broadcasting because I've been to a number of rallies, and Bikers for Trump people come up to us, and we have great conversations with them, and they say what a fan they are of both President Trump and of Right Side. And so I'm pretty confident that if bikers found us on YouTube, and other people interested in the biking world found us on YouTube, a lot of those people might really like the channel and want to help support us, and hopefully keep watching us after. So, we do think it could be something that can help the network and bring the network to a lot of new people. So that's a focus we have. That's a reason we're really thinking of doing it. Let's see here. You said, Jake, you sent me a picture that said don't have to read out loud, so I'll look at it after, Jake, because I'll end up wanting to read it out loud. Unless you want me to read it now, Jake. Sightless Seer writes in. Oh, by the way, Sightless Seer writes in, what are your thoughts on the possibility of false information being intentionally spread in order to smoke out those inclined to spread leaks and rumors and test loyalties by individuals who may be a liability? So your question, Sightless Seer, is do I think like this story about President Trump in the Oval Office giving information to Russia might have been like put out by the White House to find out who's leaking? I guess my thought on these things is the simpler explanation is probably more likely, and that seems like a very complex story to explain how this came out. So my gut feeling is probably there's a simpler explanation than them, creating some story to see who leaked it. And also it's a story that would have, no matter whether you think it's true or not, it's going to cause some bad press to President Trump. So I don't think he necessarily want to create some bad press for him by creating a false story that gets leaked out. But just my thoughts, Sightless Seer. All right, so we'll do a little work here and we'll try to find out exactly how much it would cost to cover Sturgis. Oh, we got a message from Christine here, another message. Christine says, if I can actually, one day, this page will work exactly right, email page, and I will be able to open emails when I want to. Christine, I promise you, as soon as the page lets me open your email, I will read it on the air. Nope, literally can't read it. There it is. Let's see. Can I go to previous email? It's all a big... Nope, that's not it. I literally might not be able to read this email on the air. Oh, here it is. So let's see. Yeah, so we're going to wrap up really soon. Christine, you wrote me an email about some stuff at Sturgis. I'm going to get off the air here, and I will read it. And you say you have some connections there, so we'll talk to you about that. But anyways, no press briefing today with Sean Spicer. He is doing an off-air gaggle. So if there's any exciting news, we will let you know about that. Follow us on Twitter for more updates about Right Side, about videos we're doing at RSB Network. And subscribe to us on YouTube. And click the notifications bell on the YouTube when you subscribe to get all the notifications about our videos. And thank you to the moderators for moderating today. Thank you to you for watching. Thank you to all you for all your comments and questions, both now and earlier on the earlier broadcast. And follow us on Twitter at RSB Network. Follow me. I'm at Lookner. Follow Jake. He's at Jacob RSBN Music. Thank you, Jake Seals, for producing. And have a great day, everybody. We will see you soon.